Not Fellers, but Dan Majors.
We're going.
Okay. Let's call to order. We have a quorum. Let's call the order of the Democratic Caucus of June 8th, 2020. We're on Zoom. Roll call. Miss Red. Mr. Girls here. Mr. Disoni's here. Mr. Fellers is here. Mr. Salgado is not here yet. Mr. Neighbors is here. Mr. Girl is here. So, all right, we have a quorum. There's no minutes. There's no public speaker, I don't assume. I heard from any. Okay. All right, let's go right into the committee reports. Bert, you want to take finance?
Yeah, I'm just pulling up the agenda right now. Hold on just one second. There really wasn't much on there. We had a discussion on the budget, reductions and possible revenues. The finance committee is going to work with Steve Chapman and department heads to come up with a possible reduction in departments and revenue enhancements. So we're waiting on that until we have help from the state and feds. With our revenues, we are really looking at a $6-7 million deficit at this point. So to keep the 25% threshold in our fund balances, we're going to have to make reductions and revenue enhancements, is what the finance committee was told by Mr. Chapman. And that was about all that we discussed in finance. And let me see if I can find the agenda and see if there's anything on there. I know the property tax relief, I think, is coming back.
Bert, would you like me to share my screen? I can pull the.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. I know I looked at it earlier, so it's not popping up here.
I've got the county board agenda here. Hold on.
Just for the record, everybody, Dorothy's unable to get on. So I have her on my phone and she's on the speaker so she can hear what you guys are saying, hopefully. So speak up loud so Dorothy can hear.
Here you go.
So, yeah, finance, it was just the discussion and that was it. Nothing on the agenda.
You heard it down.
I just got it as soon as you pulled it up again.
Okay, it's not very clear.
Yeah, it's probably not, especially Bruce Q in the finance.
He's spinning and spinning. Am I the only one that's not able to get in?
Well,
Joe,
we have
Joe, why don't you give me the phone number? There's a phone number she can dial in on.
Dial in on the phone number. Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, Dorothy.
All right, thank you.
Well, I'll be glad when we get back together. Okay. Are you done, Bert? Sorry.
Yes, I am done. Thank you.
Okay. Operations is Dorothy, so I'm gonna see if she gets on. Public Works, Mr. Disoni or Mr. Fellers?
Thank you, Chairman. Public Works, no meeting, no report.
Well, that was quick. Zoning, Mr. Fellers.
Nothing in zoning.
Oh, that is a quick one. All right. Public Safety. Is that yours too, Fellers?
Yeah, it's mine too. We after some debate, extended the proclamation declaring the county of Winnebago a disaster area for the coronavirus response. There was some interest from members of the combined operations and public safety committee on making that 14 days rather than 30. But it was never actually, that an amendment to that was never actually motioned to the, was never actually motioned to the floor. So we passed it another 30-day extension. There's a chance that those that want to make this only 14 days will try to pass that amendment on the board floor on Thursday. So be aware. And I'm happy to talk to both sides of the argument. Actually, no, I'm not, because I don't understand why we would only do it for 14 days.
Anybody got any questions of Mr. Fellers?
I think Bert's frozen.
No. I'm going to skip policy and procedures for right now and go to economic development. And I don't know which one you, Tim, you want to take that? Or are you on that committee?
It doesn't matter. We just had that resolution approving the recommendations for fiscal year 2020 for the host fees, they were all pretty much the same as last year. I think with a reduction in about, was it 40,000?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Any questions? Now, on the P&P, I'm looking for Dorothy or Angie, but neither one of them are on. I got in about 2/3 of the way through the P&P committee, ad hoc committee, where they were talking about the interviews with the 3 clients for the administrator's job. What do we got here? Oh, good. We got everybody. Angie, do you want to speak towards the P&P committee?
I really don't have a whole lot to say right now.
Did you get on right away on the ad hoc committee when they were talking about the interviews with the 3 candidates for the administration?
I just now got on. What were they saying?
I'm just
sorry.
asking.
I got on, but not right away. What they're going to
I
do
didn't
is
get on until about 2/3 of the way through it, so I was wondering. I know they're talking about interviewing. There was 3 gentlemen that all had experience doing that kind of work, and the debate was on how they were going to go about interviewing. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. And did they come up with did they come up with a final way they were going to do it in front of the whole board?
Yes.
Or they are
Yes.
going to do it in front of the whole board?
No, they're going to do it, one. They're not going to do all 3 of them in the same day,
Okay.
because that would be a little much. And they asked people to be on the committee. They're going to do it the week of June 22nd, I believe. Angie, are you on that committee?
Yeah, I'm on that committee, but I hadn't heard anything about June 22nd.
That's the week of June 22nd. That's what Paul told me.
All right.
I think they're going to do 4 days that week, like at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
That could be.
I know he said that one day you could not be there, I believe.
No, I can't.
Yeah. So,
So,
You know,
go ahead.
I'm having a problem with us dragging this on for 4 days. When we...
But they're different people. They're not doing the same people.
No, I understand that, Dorothy. I understand that. When we did, like for Maryland Heights Cross, when I've been on the Board of Health, when we did the ad hoc committee are the ones who introduced the different applicants for Dr. Martell's job. That was the ad hoc committee. I don't know. I just have just not coordinated with the way we're doing it. It's too long, too drawn out, and why we are having greet and meets before we even pick out one. That gets to be expensive. Who's paying for the Nordlof Center? We are doing that? You know, it can get to be even more expensive. Let's think about it. So when you have a greet and meet, you bring in food and refreshments. And I don't know. I have to hear more about it because I'm not real happy about the way they have planned it.
And I didn't, I got there late, so I didn't hear none of that. Did any of you guys decide to hear about that stuff? Probably have to get in touch with Paul Arena to follow up on some of that stuff because, like I said,
Is he online?
No. Well, he's probably over in the Republican office right now. So.
Okay.
But no, the only thing I called Paul about was because I had a letter from another person who was part of that interview at the workplace, and they felt like they should have been involved in it was a female, and it was she's here locally. But I called Paul Arena, and he said this is the way it broke down, that these 3 people had experience, and that's that. I don't really have an answer for that. I asked him to call that person just to explain to them the situation.
He did.
Okay.
And he had someone else call him and ask him to also do an interview with her.
Okay. Well, you know what I say, if we go to these first 3 people and we don't have a viable candidate or somebody that really stands out, then maybe we can follow up.
Right.
But Paul is pretty good at what he does, so I'm not going to question him right now because he runs the committee pretty well and he looks in everything. Mr. Tassone.
Thank you, Chairman. The only thing I would add to that is, and like I say, this, for whatever it's worth, I've heard that one of the finalists or the candidates or whatever, the short list is real close to home. I don't know if that's Beloit, Joe Davies County, or Belvedere, or whatever it is, but I've just heard that someone is close to here.
Oh, he's in the neighborhood anyway, huh?
In the neighborhood, so to speak.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean.
From my understanding, they can all drive here, so they're not that far away.
Well,
Two of them have relatives here in this area. Didn't say where in the area, but have relatives in this area. So
well, I hope, for goodness sakes, that we're going to ask this person to move into Winnebago County.
Well, in the end, yeah, in 6 months or
Not
whatever
right
it is.
away, but yeah, give them some time.
if you read the profile, it says in there within 6 months. I think it says 6 months have to say yes or no. By that time,
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's okay with me. That's okay with me. Is there any new business, old business besides this? With Mr. Fellers?
Thank you, guys. I feel like this. I want to bring this up now. I don't know who has seen the Facebook post circulating regarding an incident in the county jail. Does anyone have any awareness to what I'm talking about?
I have not heard it.
I've seen a reference. I've seen a reference on Facebook, but I don't know what the incident was.
There's going around on Facebook that let me pull it up and read it. Give me 1 second. On Tuesday, June 22nd, an incident occurred where at least 20 corrections officers opened up the cells of people inside the Winnebago County Jail, yelling aggressively, "Where are all the tough guys at?" and other inciting comments. They proceeded to beat people inside the cells. They shot tear gas into their cells for no reason. The corrections officers were also recording all this behavior on their cell phones. One person inside the jail was beaten so severely his arm was broken.
And was in the Winnebago County Jail?
That was in the Winnebago County Jail.
In what date?
You said June 22nd.
Sorry, June 2nd. June 2nd.
June 2nd.
Second.
Is there any way we need to follow up on that and see if that happens?
Yeah. So I've been following up on. I mean, number one, I wanted to make sure. So this was shared by the Winnebago County Bond Project, and was shared by the youth activism group that's been organizing the protests. I've been asking around trying to find if this can be confirmed as true or not, if it's valid. I reached out to the chairman, did not get a response. I've reached out to contacts in the media who are already looking into this, but I've also, and people I know have heard from family members that have confirmed this.
How about Mr. Booker? Has anybody reached out to Mr. Booker?
Not yet.
What time of the day did this supposedly happen?
It does not say so in the post. Hold on 1 second.
I'd just say if it's on Facebook, it must be true.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, hold on. I mean, that's my point, right? You want to, verify the accuracy of the information before that. But I've heard from enough people with first or secondhand knowledge now that something did happen.
All right, but we need to vet this completely. But if it is, there's some, because the stuff that I'm seeing, and you guys have seen, like pushing the old man down. But my response from some other people on this board was that pretty much he deserved it. So, I'm not too happy with the responses I'm hearing from other people. So, we need to find out about this, vet it out, and find out what happened, if anything.
if you watch that video, the part that I could see, because I know people take videos from all different angles, that he pushed the guy down. The next guy walked around. The next guy was walking around him, but I think it was the third guy reached down to pick him up, the third cop, and the cop behind him pulled him up not him pick up the gentleman.
He was going down to at least check on him. And the other officer grabbed him and basically told him to keep moving.
You saw the same thing I did.
Yeah, absolutely. But it depends on who's telling the story. Even though you see it, stories I heard, he got up there and these are faces. He deserved it. And I'm going, 75-year-old man deserve that? Okay. But anyway.
I'm more concerned about what may or may not have happened within our.
I am.
Our liability.
To me, this is, absolutely, Dan. But this is just systematic of stuff that's going on. I'm not saying it did happen. I find it hard that it would happen, but we'll see. But I appreciate you looking into it and let me know if you hear anything else. Is there any other thing you guys
but regardless of what happened in the video in Minnesota or what have you, it's not just about just that one video. It's just about the repetitive actions between the police forces and other African-American people and just people in general. And the thing is, we need to really evaluate on the training that our police officers get, the hiring that we do when we hire police officers. And because more of the training that the police officers get is tactical and not de-escalation training. They get far less de-escalation training and way too much tactical training. And they go into a situation ready to fight instead of de-escalate the situation. So that's the main issue going on.
Absolutely. But you do know that one of the officer that had his hand in his pocket kneeling on Floyd's neck was actually the training officer, which is pretty pathetic.
I mean, you see the images out of New York and especially DC. I mean, it looks like a paramilitary force, not officers of the peace.
Well, especially with the officers with the shields, camouflages, all that, yet they don't have any identification of what police force, sheriff's department, what agency they're even represented. So it's pretty bad.
What we need to do is solve our own home problems. Tim, as long as you're on right now, I don't know if the rest of our members are aware of the fact that Tim right now is the chairperson of the new mental health committee that's been formed.
Well, that's been passed to Mariana Body. She's now the president now. I was just an interim.
But out as the chairman. You're still on that committee, are you not?
Yes.
He's not the chairman, though.
That's fine. He's on the committee. That's the most important thing. Because of the fact that he can make suggestions. And Tim, several years ago, we used to have, I believe NAMI is the one who gave the training to our first responders on how to recognize different people for the issues they were having at that time when they were called for the arrest. Or they pulled them over. However, we need to go back to that training. The reason they stopped it is, as all of you know, our budget, nobody's budget has been able to handle that. Out of that 0.5%, Tim, you might want to look into that. In fact, talk to Danelle Angelari. She's with NAMI. Right. See if they have that program. See if she can investigate to see how much that would cost. All new trainees need to go on that. We have people out on the street that have seizures. They could be, they're having meltdowns. They have to be able to recognize what the problem of that person is before they start slinging things and batting them around.
Diabetic.
Yeah, diabetics can go into a coma and they don't know it.
Well,
there's a lot of.
They shouldn't be batting them around no matter what they have.
That's right. But before they, that's what happens. So you know it, I know it. They see a situation, they jump right in, just like you were saying, without knowing who that person is or anything about that person that is in that meltdown situation. We even have servicemen who have problems that all of a sudden they snap. But this is something that all of our responders need to see, whether they're a city, county, whoever they are. They need to be able to at least realize what's happening to them. That's one reason we have an assessment center to take them to. And maybe if it's something that we can set up for a yearly, all new people coming in, but our ones that have been on the force for a long time, they forget, and they need to go back and redo the course, but it hasn't been done for some time. Look into it, Tim, would you please?
Yes.
Just for the
Thank you.
information, there was, when I was at the juvenile detention home, I was a trainer of an intervention. It was called PIT. It stood for Physical Intervention Technique. In other words, it was if somebody's trying to pull your hair or punch you, it was how to stop it or get released from it without hurting the person doing it. Now they have a new program called Handle with Care, which is even taking it a step further to completely show how to restrain somebody and even actually carry them to the room without inflicting any harm on that person. If we could do that with people at a juvenile detention center, people that haven't, don't receive the amount of training that police do and other people, there's no reason they can't do that on the police department. Because believe me, we were dealing with kids that were just as big as some of the people they're arresting. And so I'm just saying there is ways to train not to hurt people when you restrain them. They need to do that.
That's right, Joe. That's a good idea. And that's something else that Tim can pass on to that committee. Because if we have to go into special, I don't know who does our training. I know very little about our police department and our sheriff's department and who does all the training. And that's something that we need to look into because it starts at the beginning.
I think that Booker should be able to tell us that. That's his committee, right?
Yeah, but
I can tell you.
But on the
Yeah.
same note, Angie, I understand you want me to look into the different things from the mental health aspect, but this is bigger than a mental health issue. This is everything won't be solved just on the mental health side. We can train for mental health issues, but most of this training is just for regular people with just life issues in general. So we need that type of training too. So the funding from the mental health tax wouldn't come from that, probably the public safety sales tax. But it's so much stuff that could come out of the public safety sales tax that there's not enough money in there either.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That might be something on that half-cent tax because many of the people that go back and see who has had the most encounters with our deputies or with our police officers. Many of them have been where people are having meltdowns. And that's where a lot of problems start, especially if they don't know how to handle it. And that we need to have a place to start. And Joe's got another place that he was talking about that needs to be brought forward too. That doesn't have to come out of mental health, but what I'm talking about is the ones that do need to come out of there. We have a lot of people. I don't think you realize how many people out there that have problems. And they need to recognize them. They could be physical problems. They could be mental problems. But it happens. So would you bring that up, please?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Sure will. I can forget you're not watching me. I'm just nodding my head.
I
hope you're writing it down. Bert is somebody. Bert, I'm watching Bert, and Bert's been wanting to say something.
Oh, Bert, give us some news.
Now I was just going to chime in about the training. I don't know if you guys were in the meeting with public safety when the deputy chief was on there, along with Bryce Franks. He does the police officer training and correctional officer training too. And it was talked about chokeholds and what the sheriff's department doesn't do. And they are making some steps to eliminate some of that training. But, I asked the chief deputy what he thought of Chief O'Shea's remarks about 16 and 17-year-olds being lost and nothing you could do for them. And I understand that maybe the chief's words were taken out of context. He was just interviewed about some gang violence that was going on. I think his temper was a little high and he probably chose his words poorly, but they're still his words. And they had a news conference with the chief and didn't really come out and say that he was sorry or that wasn't what he meant to say. So I'm a little alarmed that, if we can't help 16, 17-year-olds as a law enforcement or a government agency, what are we doing here? I think everybody's worth saving. I don't care if they're gangbangers or kids that grew up in a single family home or are homeless. Everybody deserves a chance to be saved or helped. So I just really wish the sheriff would have came out and said, I think O'Shea's done a great job. I don't agree with his words. Something like what the mayor came out with.
How about with
move forward.
Marilyn Height Ross is right there with him? Did you hear the whole thing or did you not? What he said?
I caught most of it. Unfortunately, at work and stuff, so I didn't catch the whole press conference, but I caught his response. I don't know if he apologized before that.
Those are sound bites. What he said was that actually we need to start, and Tim, and this is true, that's one reason they wanted to start this mental health board. It starts at the crib. Those children are traumatized. Many of them are traumatized right from the crib up. Any of you who have been in law enforcement know that. You know what you have seen. What he is saying is, when that age group between 12 and, what did he say, 12 and 13 or whatever it was, when they shoot their best friend, first of all, they need to serve the time. And then when they come out, they have programs for those kids to help rehabilitate them. Those are already in place. And so no one has really listened to the whole thing. They only listened to what they wanted to hear from it. Mm-hmm. And it was really his, and you have to look, I don't know. The whole thing kind of burns me because of the fact we've let this go for too long. And for a very long time, everyone has just shooed this thing apart, put it aside. And so rehabilitation is so important when they get out of jail. That's where we have a lot of our problems with our youth once they come out.
And the other issue is we need
13-year-old shooting. Today on my street down here, a block from me, a 19-year-old got shot. And it was a drive-by. You had one over on the southeast side. You had two get shot down here on North Main Street, right off of Halstead, and all that was in 2 days. And they're young people. So, have we stopped the guns? No. These young kids can buy guns. My grandson was 12 years old, and he's 27 now. And I asked him one day, he was on my computer, I walked by, and I said, hey, Dre, where can I buy a gun? I really need one. He says, oh, Grandma, just go online. You can get one. They're coming from all over with these. And this is where there are so many youth programs out there, too, for these kids who are under 15 years old or 16 years old. Even the police officers hold a summer, I think it's a 4-week program for youth. My grandson, I made him take the darn thing when it was brand new. And it helps them. It helps them to understand the police. It helps them to know what they're supposed to be doing. So we do have the programs out there, but are they being used properly?
But yeah, Angie, that's a good thing you said when you said, are they being used properly? Just because there are a lot of programs out for youth, but the youth programs are so underfunded and they're just terrible. All they do is most youth programs, they come, feed you, talk to you, and send you home. There's no training in the programs, even youth sports. It's so expensive to be in a youth sport now. That's why so many people on the street is like, the community centers in the area don't hardly do anything for youth. We don't have community centers for any of the youth to go to and, to feel safe in the Rockford area, because, even Northwest Community Center, to go to their after school program, it costs $98 per child per week. And so if you don't have that money to go to the after school program, you're stuck out on the street. So, it ain't like back in the day where you could just go to the boys club or just go to Northwest Community Center. If you don't have the money, you can't get into these so-called community center programs. They're not free anymore, even though they claim to be community centers and get grant money.
Let me jump in there for a minute. Take the school district, for example. the school district and the park district should be working very closely together. But if the park district wants to use the school district's facilities, they have to pay an astronomical amount of money. And that's crazy, because those are taxpayers' dollars that support the school district. But they a lot of money, and the park district does not have that. They have to go to Aurora or down to Peoria for some of the games that they have. And that makes no sense. We need to do something about that.
You're right, Dorothy. We find money for all kinds of things, but we're not supporting the should be supporting.
Right.
I think Bert has something to say.
Yep, thanks. I just want to say, and Tim hit it right on the head. Is it affordable? Is it accessible to everybody? And that's the question that we have to ask, because it's not. It's not at all. So that's the question that we need to ask. That's some of the reform that needs to happen, not just the police brutality, which has shown its way through these police protests to be more evident and outrageous as anyone ever thought. Just think of what it was like before videos and cell phones out there, when it was just the officer's word versus the suspect's word. That's what we have to think about. And just think if the Floyd murder wasn't on video, what would have happened? Just imagine if the old man in Buffalo that got pushed down, if that wasn't on video, what would have happened? The cop said he tripped. So we are in a different place in society, and I'm glad that these videos are out there and showing people and opening up their eyes to actually what is going on out there. So that's
how many Floyds were murdered because that aren't on video? I mean, plain and simple.
Exactly.
That's exactly true. And you know what's bad? When our attorney general lies to us about whether they use chemicals on the peaceful protesters and not, arguing whether pepper spray is a chemical when it's classified as a chemical.
They found the tear gas shells anyway.
They're going to take issue with tear gas over pepper spray? Come on, man. I just by both of them. It don't matter.
Mm-hmm. Remember the last leader that gassed his own citizens?
Yeah, exactly. But it's right now, there's no positive way to look. It's one side against another side as far as citizens go. And that ain't gonna, if we're fighting with each other, how can we turn around now and come up with plans for these kids or these young people, whatever? We're fighting amongst ourselves. We can't even get that right.
And why are we fighting among ourselves?
Well, because we got somebody in the White House who is like about a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah, there's more division than there is unity. Even as a bad president, Trump had every opportunity with COVID, and now with the Black Lives Matter movement and the police brutality movement, he had every opportunity, and probably still does, to actually bring and unite America together. But he refuses, and he does everything possible not to make that unity even a possibility. I cringe when people say what a great job President Trump has done. I really cringe at it, because I don't see it. Unless if you're a billionaire, then he's probably done a pretty good job for you, because that last care package really helped those folks out. They got over $500 million, and what do we get? $1,200 each. Is that really helping folks out? So, sorry, hate to rant on this, but
the same note, Bert, I'm going to say, you know what? Here we got everybody's eyes on everything that's going on, and yet we still see police brutality to people right in front of our eyes. I mean, you would think they know the world's watching. Why would they continue to do the things that are so obvious? And then you have a group of people telling us we're not seeing what we think we see.
Qualified.
Well, the police are protected by the Supreme Court in so many different ways. The Supreme Court and the union, so they feel like they could do whatever they want until we can get those laws changed in the Supreme Court, and then to get the unions to stop protecting the bad police officers. I love the union. I love them to protect the good police officers, but the Supreme Court and the unions are so protective of those bad officers, it's hard to get them out of there and hard to get them trained right. You know, a police officer can kill somebody and get away with it as long as he can prove or as long as he could say he felt like his life was in danger. But you don't have to, all the training you do, you don't have to say, I went into the situation with bad tactics. You know, a lot of those police, murders or the deaths on police duty were caused because police officers went into the situation with bad tactics outside of their training and outside of what they were supposed to do from get-go. And so we can't hold them accountable for that because of the protection that they have. And until we can hold them, get rid of those laws that protect them from putting themselves in bad situations, this is going to continue to happen. So we have to, get to Supreme Court and to remove some of the barriers to the protection that they have on those police officers. And as long as we got a conservative Supreme Court, is very unlikely it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. Also, it's when you have this, it's us against them attitude that you don't have both sides working to solve a problem. You got one side trying to solve a problem, you got the other side trying to protect the old way things are. It's a tough,
Right.
tough thing to do when you don't have everybody looking at the same goal.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I heard.
at any rate, I think you fight a good fight. Hopefully we can do something about it. And maybe we need to write some of how we feel in a proclamation sometime and put it forward. Because I'm hearing plenty from the other side on Facebook every time I open it. So you guys might want to think about that, think if there's something we want to do.
And what can we do? Is
Well,
this something
we can only do?
this something that
We can give our proclamation as much
Joe,
as somebody else gives their proclamation telling us how imposed everything is.
Joe,
I
remember,
suppose we can contact our representatives and
Pardon me?
ask them to do something. Our representatives, our senators and representatives.
Oh, I tell you who is doing something is West. I mean, he is taking those prisoners right now. He's calling a couple of the other side to task, and I gave him all the credit in the world. So contact Maurice West's office because
It ain't just Maurice.
he's taking representatives' comments and taking them to task for him.
So we don't have to just contact Maurice West's offices because he's just one person. We need to contact all offices and put the pressure on all the representatives, just like we get the letters, like when we get a letter from about the landfill, they don't send it to just one representative, they send it to all of us.
Right.
So we have to send letters to all our representatives too, as well. Let them know how we feel and get their back in the well. It's like we can't just put all the pressure on Maurice West because he's just one voice. We need all the voices to work.
Right. I'm just saying he for an example, is doing it. I do think it would be nice for all the Democrats at least to get the same message, at least in the same general direction. This is what Republicans do. They all get together in that little cubby hole and get their message right. And they keep repeating it. And then Democrats, so I'm not saying they ain't trying to do the right thing, but they're scattered like cattle out of the range. And I think if we get the same message, we'd be a little bit, we'd be heard more, is my guess. Mr. Fellers, you're sitting there just blowing smoke. Tell us something.
Nah, man, you guys are saying all the right things.
Joe,
All right,
Joe.
and go ahead.
Do you remember a few years ago, we had a big, huge roundtable with the judges and with our police chiefs, our sheriff. We need to, instead, we're talking in 20 different directions right now, what should be done, what could be done. what we need to do is roundtable with them, the people who are really the stakeholders in all of this, and find out, get 5 points of what can we do. So that would be a start. Where do we have to start? We need 5 points to start with. That include, we have to have Maryland there. We have to have our police chief and we need the chief there too, and our sheriff, because the thing is, we're throwing so much stuff out there. That's why it never gets done. But if we can all work together and find out what are the 5 vital points that we need to work on, that's where we need to put our aim at. Then go after our representatives with a list of these are the things that we think should be changed. Because they're going to have to be changed by law.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So one of the things I would say is I would love to be able to work with the whole board on this, but I'm not saying that the other side of the aisle there would be some people out, but I guarantee there wouldn't be many. So it puts, I would like to come at this with one message, but we might have to do one message from the Democrats is what we have to do then.
Then
So does anybody, I'm all for it. Does anybody want to take on the task of this moving, or anybody got any ideas how to start moving? It's hard to do it when you can't meet and you can't get together and do those things, but
if we get a room big enough,
it can't be done.
we can all sit apart from one another. It can be done. It just, don't make the list so big that we can't handle a lot of people. And we aren't going to do a drive-by either, Tim. I just love that, the way he has his drive-by funerals now. But we need a big room. This doesn't last forever.
You drive going too fast. Well, I'm all for it if we have a way to get together and come up with some ideas. Maybe we should work on it and then put a list together and
this isn't going to last.
Unfortunately, I think we're going to have time because it doesn't look like this is any.
Say that again. What about
Talk to me. My computer is breaking down here, guys. Can you all hear all right?
Yeah,
not really.
You break up.
50-50.
But
yeah, I'm getting this. All right, I'm gonna let you go because I'm gonna shut myself off because the mic off because my telling on my hookup is unstable. You guys talk. I'm gonna shut my microphone off.
I have one question. There was something that we missed about the unfinished business with Mike Slabowski and his appointment to the airport board. I just wanted to see if
I didn't know we had made it that far on the list.
It's on the agenda under unfinished business. So Haney is bringing back. We laid it over from the last board meeting.
You read his letter that he sent Haney?
I believe I read that. Yeah,
today, right?
Yes.
You sent it.
No, I did not read that.
I glanced at it. I didn't have much time.
It wasn't from Sebastian. It was from him.
It was from Mike Sebastian.
Oh, yeah, the letter from Mike Shabowski. Yes. I'm sorry. I thought you meant Mike Dunn. Sorry.
Oh.
No, Mike.
I saw that letter. I'm sorry. Yeah, now I was just wondering where you guys are at on the appointments to the airport. I thought Mike was sincere, but I just want to hear your thoughts.
You want to hear my thoughts?
Yeah, please.
Well, I have several thoughts here. And we can either vote this up, vote it down, or we can lay it over. We have some people on that airport board that time is up, I believe. And I don't know how you guys can find out who they are. Now, do you know who they are?
You can probably go online and find that out.
Yeah, we have 2 appointments, I think.
To move on so someone else can get on the board.
Yes, but you have to understand that other, like Loves Park gets to appoint somebody, McChesney Park gets to vote on somebody, the city votes on someone. It isn't just, that's not, these are only R2 from the county.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all we have, 2.
Okay, we have 2.
Yes.
Now, does the city have anyone on there whose time is up?
Yeah.
Who is that?
I don't know if their time is up. That's why you'd have to go online, see who's on the commission, and
Okay, we know that Del Santo's term is up, right?
Yes,
Pardon?
it did expire, yes.
Was he reappointed?
Not yet, no. But his reappointment, in the words of Chairman Haney, is not as important as filling the void of the seat left by Pat Deary.
I don't think that's true. Why
Well,
the rush to fill that seat? I don't believe it's true. Because even though Mike deals with numbers, they have a person that works at that airport daily that does numbers. So why is that position so important? Take, for example, Jaime. Jaime, are you there?
No, I don't think he's on.
Jaime does numbers. That's his job. He gets paid on his job to do that. So I think I think that Frank Haney is just rushing, trying to get that seat filled before he leaves. Because they only meet. How often do they meet?
Oh, they meet pretty regularly. In fact,
Are you sure, Andy? Once a month?
I think so. Dick's cousin was once on it, but from then till now,
Once a month is not very often. Once a month is not very often.
For that board, it is. You only meet twice a month.
Yeah, but even if they meet twice a month, that's not that often.
Hey, hold on a second. Let Jim speak.
I just wanted to let you all know I'm going to get off this meeting because I got another meeting that's about to start. So,
You.
all right. Yeah, I'll take care.
Okay, Tim, I will talk with you later.
Okay.
I'll give you a call.
All right.
Tim, thank you for your input.
No problem.
Go ahead, Angie.
Hey guys, I want to go have dinner here. Oh, sorry, Dave.
You want to do what?
I want to go have dinner. Can we just
All right.
I mean,
Well, let me say this.
why do we got to keep holding this up?
Hold on a second, everybody. We're gotten way off of the Mr. Just tell me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And like I say, this is for Dorothy as well as the rest of the committee. And just to give my 2 cents or my thoughts, I think with a lot of things that have been going on, we've heard everybody loud and clear. I don't condone Mr. Dunn's comments and that he remarked about Mrs. Red and her consideration. I don't think it's appropriate that, I don't know Mr. Szablowski at all, but I've heard that he's good at what he does and he would be a good fit. And in a perfect world, the way I would like to see things done is that we appoint Mr. Szablowski to the airport board, and in the wake of everything that's gone on with the vacancy of Mr. Boomer's District 4 seat, I don't know who the next recommendation would be. I've leaned towards Mr. Mike Zintek, and I would just love to see us just get past these 2 appointments. I think the message has been heard. Everyone knows how we feel, and let the next appointments and the next positions gain attention. And let's get on with these 2 appointments and move on to other business, which is going to be our budget and our shortfalls and our taxes. And let's get on to some meaningful stuff and, get these things that are holding us back and causing all this delays and troubles. Let's get over them and move on to the next thing. And I think everybody's been heard, and we all understand and know what the problems are and what the direction is that we need to move in. And let's get past this board 4th district appointment. Let's get past this airport appointment. And believe me, I know everybody's been heard loud and clear, and let's hope for a better day in the future.
With
Let me
that,
jump in and just say something. Can I say something, Joe?
yes, Dorothy, then let's have a motion to adjourn afterwards, please.
Okay, that's fine. I think it needs to be brought up on the floor. Now, I've been told, and I haven't looked it up in Springfield yet, but I will if I can. There are 5 or 6 people on the board that received money from Mike Dunn. Those people should not vote. They need to abstain from voting. Now, at the last board meeting, Butita abstained. Why did he abstain? Did he say?
No. And then the chairman, when Dave Krolinkas told the chairman he couldn't do it, the chairman went ahead and did it anyway.
See, that's the problem.
Hold on, guys, let's slow down. Mr. Kurlinkus is on this call. And Mr. Kurlinkus, would you verify that if someone has received a campaign donation from someone up for a board appointment, that is, I believe you said before, that was not a reason to abstain?
Thank you, Mr. Fellers. What I said is the only reason, according to your rules, the only reason for abstention is if you had a financial interest in the vote that you were making. That's what your rules say. So that was the basis for my opining that Mr. Buttigieg really hadn't indicated a valid reason for abstaining from the vote.
So I'll take this to the next step here then. If
Okay.
someone has received a campaign donation from someone up for nomination, for any board position, paid or not, or anything else, would that be a reason to abstain?
I don't think so, but I'd have to think about that specifically. It really doesn't. Let me put it this way: it really doesn't fit the definition of a financial interest. That's more of a situation where you work for the company that's being voted on, the license is being granted, something like that, or your family member is employed, somebody in your immediate family is employed by some entity or person that's being voted on. That's more of a fit, I think, with what you're going. Nice job, Mr. Tassoni.
And to be clear here, and just to be clear here, we're voting on Mike Shablowski, not
Right.
Mike Dunn,
Correct.
right? So even if you've received a donation from Mike Dunn, that would not be I received a campaign donation 4 years ago myself from Mike Dunn Sr. But that's not a reason. That wouldn't be a reason to abstain from voting for Mike Shablowski.
That's correct. That's correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Tassoni.
Thank you, Chairman. And like I said, I just think that the appointment of the district board for vacancy and the appointment to the board is something that we need to get on with and approve or disapprove and just move on, because we got a lot bigger fish to fry coming out of this pandemic. We got restaurants that are coming back to open. We got sales tax issues. We got budget issues, and we've got a lot bigger things that we need to deal with. And these two things are holding us back from dealing with them. Thank you.
I totally agree with you, Mr. Tassoni. And with that, I'll ask for a motion. Bert, you got something important to tell me?
Just before we adjourn, just the next chairman will reappoint those 2 seats also. And then the next chairman will also be appointing other seats to other boards. So this fight isn't over. I agree with Mr. Tassoni. Let's get these seated. Let's move on. And we have many challenges that await us. And I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Anybody got a second? Mr. Fellers, Mr. Tassoni, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, guys.
Good night.